Hi everyone, Keith Arkberg Farms. It is now the last week in June, which means it's time to get my melons, which are actually a week late, and my winter squash in. So today I'm going to show you the method that we use on our farm and the techniques we use to do this. So let me show you. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while, we do a lot in landscape fabric back over here in the main farm plots. But for planting really long, leggy, binding plants, you cannot plant those in black landscape fabric. It cooks them, it fries them, just like that. So the technique I've employed 3 or 4 years now is actually planting melons and winter squash in my silage tarps. I mean, we have them. They don't do anything the majority of the year besides sit around, and they're also white, which is great to grow them on. They do great on this, and we're going to go through, show you the techniques we use, and I'll explain it, and then we'll go through and start planting some. And it's hot out here right now. It's like 98 degrees. We got a south wind blowing off the field over here, and it is just bright as can be. It's almost like being on the water on top of these things, so you want to be very, very careful and wear sunscreen and watch out, because you will get burnt very, very quick. Now, the very first step in this process is actually getting your field ready. This is the old strawberry field. This was a pain in the butt to get ready. I haven't used this in like 2 years, so there was a lot of weeds and a lot of stuff to go through. I got that all pretty much cleared out, tilled under, just trying to run the field. Now, you might be asking, if I'm using all this plastic around me, how do I water it? I mean, there's nothing but plastic everywhere. And the solution for that is drip irrigation. So we got our header line running from our spigot, which we have right over there, and we run lines about every 4 foot across the bed all the way down to the end. This is after we prep the bed, after we put our fertility down, and then we actually go through and start pulling our plastic out. Now, in these high winds that we have, especially today, we got like 30-mile-per-hour winds with 40-mile-per-hour gusts. This stuff does not like to stay down. The only way I found without a whole crap ton of sandbags is using dirt. So I take the shovel, I dig in right at the edge right here under it, and I pick it up and I drop it on top and then step on it. Start from one end, work all your way down, come across the side, work the other side all the way down. This gives a good security on the edges. Now, it will start to like buffer and baffle in the wind, and that's where I got the quickest greenhouse I've ever built, laying out here. You can see the hoops right here going back across. Just laid them down flat, put them together, and that keeps it from bouncing around. We also got some sandbags. I got T-posts or whatever else I can find to kind of help with that as well, because the ultimate issue is you plant a plant that big, the tarp goes up that high, it goes over the top of it, takes it underneath, and just fries it. Because it's a lot warmer underneath this than it is on top, which is great for growing melons, but not good for planting transplants. Now, with our melon, squash, zucchinis, cucumbers, we choose to transplant them on the farm. Now, simply because I have limited space that I grow those in, and I want to be as efficient as possible. Also, I want to grow them in something to keep the weeds down. We still have really high grass pressure out here, and it just becomes a burden to try to keep that down by cultivating continuously. So my solution, which I know a lot of people will disagree with, but I've been doing this for years. What we do is we start all of those as a transplant. We use simple 98 cell flats, which we call 100 because it's easier. Seed them 1 week before we want to go out. That is the most important part. They cannot be in this tray more than 1 week. Put them in the germination chamber, let them pop. As soon as they germinate and start to pop, they go in the prop house under automatic irrigation. 1 week in there, it's very uncomfortable, very warm there. It needs to be vented better. So that pretty much gets them ready for about anywhere I'm going to put them. We'll have a little bit of issue with the wind, but not all that much. But after 1 week, there's a bunch of winter squash here. we got really good, healthy transplants. Now, I will tell you, if you leave them in here for 2 weeks, like the melons behind me, they don't look as hot. They do not want to be in here that long. They're shooting a taproot down. They want to go and go deep to seek the water. That's why 1 week is the key. At 1 week, you'll have a nice healthy transplant that's actually ready to go, and a little caterpillar in there. And the taproot has not gone down and started doing any weird spiraling. So when you put it in the ground, it'll go deep. You wait longer than that, you will not have very good success. And that is why people tell you never to try to transplant these. They're also very, very delicate at this stage to transplant. So you got to have some very fine and subtle techniques as you actually put them in the ground, which we'll show you right now. Now, with all my large vining, we'll call them ground dwellers, we plant them all 4 foot in row, 4 foot in between row. That's because we work in a market garden style bed, and all of our beds are spaced 4 foot on center. So the first step is stretch tape measure out, just start our irrigation header, and then we come in 4 foot because we'll actually have some head fabric up here to cover the main line to keep the weeds from completely engulfing it. So we come in 4 foot, and then we kind of feel for our drip tape. Drip tape's right there. Just take a knife, make a little slit, and then we just kind of peel it open till we have a hole. If we see any weeds in here, like we got a little bit of grass pressure, then we knock those out. Next part is to come over to our transplants, and we use a nice little stick here. Push it up from the bottom, trying to cause as little disturbance as possible. At 1 week, we have a transplant that looks like this. You can see how it's not really root bound, barely hitting the bottom, good tall, and we got our plant tag, which we'll put in the field. Now we want to be very careful. We just use 2 fingers because it's about the size of this cell. Dig down, push the soil back, get the crud out of there we find. Make sure our hole's big enough. Take our tag out, and we'll very gently push that down into the ground. Now I use my finger and sweep around a little bit and bring back some of the actual soil around it, so we kind of cap over that plug, because that plug can lose moisture very quickly. Take our plant tag so we know what it is. Typically we record more information, take these up to the prop house, store them in the system, but I want to know what they are in the field as they're growing. Again, we only do 1 planting of these a season, so it's not that big a deal. Next step, come down to the 8 foot mark, and then we will simply repeat. Again, we've got a piece of T-post here because it was buffering pretty bad right through here. Feel till we find our drip irrigation. Come over a little from it, make a cut, open it up, move the crud aside, pop a hole with our 2 fingers, and we come through and pop our next transplant. Again, really nice looking root ball all the way across. Plug it into the hole, gently push it, and then bring back just a little bit of the soil surrounding it. Give it a nice little tamp so it stays up straight, because these are going to get blown by the wind a little bit because it's windy today. And they're not going to be happy for a couple days. I'm aware of this. Now, I've had squash vine borers in here this year, so I am going to cover all of my winter squash with insect netting all the way down when I'm done with this. So we're going to work our way down, repeat this, and get this done. And after we get everything planted out, we still got spaghetti squash, and this other row here that only goes to there because this piece of plastic I found wasn't as long as that piece of plastic, and I can't find the ones I've punched in the past. Yeah, that's farm management stuff. But either way, we will water them in for about an hour in our drip irrigation. We've got drip irrigation, 4-inch centers, very high flow rate, so it waters it really good. And we got a lot of rain before I put this down. That's what actually delayed me from putting this down and doing this earlier this week, because these are probably 3 or 4 days past where I'd usually like them. But hey, that's farming. So as always, hope y'all liked me Saturday. If you did, Don't forget to like, subscribe, head over to arkbergfarms.com, scroll down near the bottom, mark Garden Farm School, Digital Tools and Training, all kinds of cool stuff there. Go check it out. Lots of cool spreadsheets. We got the Mark Garden Farm School open, site openers, all kinds of cool stuff. So, thank y'all. Have a good day.